Hey there, Ed McCormack here, founder of the crypto education platform, Dchained. Before we start today's video, if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button, like this video. We appreciate all the support we continue to get from viewers like yourself in helping us grow this channel. So with that out of the way, it's been a phenomenal week in overall crypto market. Bitcoin and Ethereum hit all-time highs. We have a new Bitcoin ETF that just became available here in the US, and people are just overall feeling good about the market. And at the same time, one of the largest exchanges in the world, Coinbase, just made a huge announcement in that it's going to be rolling out an NFT marketplace. And that could have a dramatic impact in prices across the entire crypto market. And we're going to talk about all of that right now. So before we jump into this new announcement, let's take a look at Coinbase in general. So earlier this year, back in April, Coinbase listed itself on the stock exchange and became available for anybody to invest in across the equity public markets. Now, in doing so, it ultimately became very vulnerable and scrutinized by any and all analysts across US banks. And part of that scrutiny is how are you going to not only generate revenue quarter over quarter, month over month, but also how are you going to defend market share erosion, especially if you look at some of the big exchanges that are nipping at its heels, such as FTX. Now, this is where Coinbase has made some really good moves in recent months to help position itself for the holiday season and for overall a resurgence in interest and prices in the crypto market. In fact, if you look at the price of Coinbase today, it's roughly about $306, which is about 30% above its all-time low seen in late September. So we're seeing that there's a lot of momentum behind Coinbase. And one of the major factors that's led to a lot of investor excitement behind this exchange is ultimately its decision to roll out an NFT marketplace. And easy way that we're going to just cover this of why that's important is we're going to first take a look at, for one, how big is the NFT marketplace, overall business and market. And if you look at just the data alone, it's over a $10 billion business just in the July through September quarter, which is enormous. And if that doesn't, sound like a big number, if you just took one of the big players in the NFT space, which is NBA Top Shots, and you looked at what is it currently being valued at, which is $7.6 billion, NBA Top Shots would just make its way into the Fortune 500. So you're talking about one of the 500 largest companies in the world by market cap just being one of the NFT platforms that's out there. And this is something that is ultimately getting a lot of excitement because if you look at where a lot of money is flowing to, historically, and history for NFTs is a rather short one, it's gone to these decentralized exchanges that ultimately charge a pretty substantial amount of money if you're a seller. Most NFT markets charge anywhere between 2 and 2.25% for the seller to then sell their NFTs. While Coinbase, on the other hand, charges about 0.5% if you want to sell your cryptocurrency. So we're talking about an economic model that really is going to be favorable towards people who want to sell NFTs, which brings us to the second point here, which is NFTs have become somewhat of an arms race when it comes down to the marketplaces that are trying to take over this corner of crypto. And this is where Coinbase, given its more favorable economic model for sellers, plus now it's an official sponsor of the NBA, could be enormous in terms of really cornering the sports and collectibles market. Now, if you've been following previous videos that we've put out, or maybe you've seen the latest news from Coinbase, but Coinbase is the official sponsor for the NBA, WNBA, G League, and it's ultimately positioning itself extremely well with really a player base that have been very active in the NFT space, whether it's Steph Curry or Wilson Chandler. I mean, there's many players that have been putting out their own NFTs and also buying NFTs and talking about it on social. So you're talking about a high profile sponsorship, which plays a very strong defensive move against FTX. Now, FTX, if you've seen our past videos, has been very active in terms of using sports as a conduit to getting in front of US investors. It started with buying out the naming rights for the Miami Heat arena, all the way through its official sponsorship of Major League Baseball and this somewhat silent arms race that's going on between Coinbase and FTX in sponsorships of the players themselves. As we've talked about before, you can look at anyone from, rookie of the years, both in the NBA and NFL, all the way through players who are opting to receive payment in cryptocurrency. And by now having a sponsorship for the NBA and really limiting those players to that one particular exchange, meaning they can't go and decide that they're going to now start working with FTX, or they're going to start working with Binance US, or they're going to start promoting another NFT platform. There might be constraints now limiting them to Coinbase. And this is a very smart decision, not only to compete against FTX, but also knowing that Robinhood is on its tail very closely, especially if Robinhood starts to roll out a crypto wallet, which ultimately brings us to our third point here. And when we're taking a look at the overall NFT space, we are looking at a market that is almost entirely dominated by retail investors, meaning banks and institutional investors don't have a sort of an avenue to gain exposure. There's not a single easy way that meets their compliance and risk mitigation that they could use in order to get access to NFTs until now. If you look at one of the biggest custodians out there, meaning a financial service company that basically plays the intermediary between the traditional finance world and the decentralized finance world, or blockchain in general, these are the custodians. These are companies that hold the assets in their vault or cold storage and then provide access to the trading firm, who ultimately is then going to, at the conclusion of the trade, put it right back into storage with that custodian. Coinbase is one of the largest in the world. And this is really exciting because all of a sudden, now you open up an entire sector of crypto to a mega pot of funding and capital that could really drive up a lot of investment in the space and ultimately could create a scenario where your NFTs could skyrocket in price appreciation. So just wrapping up what we talked about, you're looking at an offensive move by Coinbase in really securing the rights and ultimately the ability to license one of the biggest leagues in the US and truthfully around the world. They're also using this NFT marketplace to not only capitalize on this growing sector of crypto, which did almost 11 billion just in the summer alone, but also as a means of hedging the threat of FTX and Robinhood coming in to try and take some of their market share. And last but not least, they are now paving the road for institutional banks to come in and start getting involved in NFTs. And if that does not get you excited, truthfully, you may have found the wrong channel. Just kidding. This is something that I think could be truly exciting across the board, even if you don't invest in NFTs, because as more money comes into the crypto space, we have found that that money stays in crypto. So think about all of that money that might go over to one of your favorite projects. So that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, again, subscribe to this channel, pound that like button, and until next time, happy and safe investing. I'll speak with you soon.